And yes, sir, they killed the bear barehanded so the people won't forget it. Getting money for I was legal to drink. I care what a broke nigga think.
Just like the pack of Lewis.
Look, everything I do so cold. I can do this, both eyes closed. Too short, I stay on my toes. About that guap boy, anything goes. Help the bear if we outside. Help the bear if we outside. Still tipping, baby, nothing changed. I'm still grinding over here, yeah. Still sliding through my own lane. Shorty, nothing funny over here. Dallas rain everywhere around me. Dream to get money. Made it through the storm, living sunny. Dreams came true, now we eating. I got more dreams to chase, gotta reach them. Trying to put a team together like the Hunger Games. Everybody crying because we all came from hunger pain.
Y'all best believe it. Late Ill Kid at OneYoungsta holding it down, bringing that street geek and nerd soul. What is up, my people? Today, all year, coming with another wonderful episode of That's Right, NERDSoul on screen, live action, TV stuff. We talk about it, but I ain't by myself. All right, I'm joined by awesome gentlemen right over here. Wiggy, Nate Miller, what's up? Oh man, it's good to see you. Good to see you.
Yeah, man, you too.
So, without further ado, I want to ask you about this because we've seen an article swirling around the streets, one of those Twitter streets, saying that people just aren't taken to this series the way they took to, Loki and Falcon.
Really?
And
I haven't seen that.
I don't remember who wrote it. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up. But people aren't taking to Hawkeye the way they're watching Loki and Falcon and of course WandaVision, and trying to break down why. Hold up, who wrote that article? But I wanted to see what you thought about that. Deadline has one, but Deadline's article wasn't the meanest. I mean, what headline wasn't the meanest? Deadline's article just says Hawkeye viewership 40% behind Loki premiere. But no, someone, I'm trying to remember who wrote, someone had a mean headline like, fans don't care about Hawkeye as much as such and such. And I was like, dang, you didn't do Hawkeye like that. But basically, there's one about the viewership. Then there's another article about the boycott that's in defense of artists. And then there's Screen Rant, which says why Hawkeye is Disney Plus's least watched live action show. So, for me, I was just like, I don't know why it is. I mean, I haven't read the article. Maybe they break down dope reasons why, but I just wanted to get your idea on like why you think even like this is even a thing. Because in my opinion, Marvel's been kind of, they've been coming with it on TV.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm surprised that's the first I've heard of that. I've only really heard good things about the reviews for Hawkeye and stuff, but I guess like he's always kind of been, especially in the movies, treated as like a side character, so it totally tracks for me that he will not draw as much viewership as something like a Loki series does, especially if they're talking about the premiere. I'd also be very interested in seeing how many people started watching Loki and actually finished watching Loki. Because I think a lot of people probably started it and then were like, this is too weird for me, and then didn't go. But yeah, I don't know. I like it. I do think this episode was a little slow. It was good plot wise, but it was kind of not as exciting as some of the other ones. But I think this will be one of the ones that after it's done, I mean, knock on wood, they finish strong. That when it's done, more people will want to go back and watch it because they will, hear about how good it is. So
Word. And so the reason from Screen Rant is one, Hawkeye is a smaller MCU story. The second one is Hawkeye is less necessary MCU viewing, which I'm not sure if we know yet because it hasn't finished, but I mean, maybe. Then the third one is fans are suffering from Marvel overload. I don't know. That's one that I think kind of closely ties to the what do we call it? The kind of superhero fatigue, where I'm like, I think people have been saying that for like 3-4 years, and it's not. It doesn't seem to be happening. But you know, the stuff seems to keep selling. But then Hawkeye isn't the most popular Avenger. And that was the last reason they ended on, is that he's not the most popular. But I mean, if you look, you can say almost the same stuff about Falcon and Winter Soldier, even though it is tied to like essentially the leader of the Avengers. So these reasons could kind of be ascribed to Falcon and Winter Soldier, but then you also got two people instead of one person. And it is tied to the leader. You know what I'm saying?
There aren't really even Avengers right now. Cap's gone. Iron Man's dead.
Are they still technically calling themselves Avengers, or are people just calling them Avengers
Captain
because
Marvel's
that's all
in
they know?
space. Hawkeye's retired. Like, Thor's also in space.
Yeah, Thor's in space. All right, so at this time, Thor's in space. The Hulk is, I don't know, just being a scientist or doing something.
I think he's still isn't he still like Smart Hulk?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe he's still just like kind of like the Smart Hulk, just kind of doing sciencey stuff. So I guess right now the Avengers are essentially disassembled. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can kind of see some of the points of their argument, but I feel like you could make that argument about any of the stuff that they've made, you know, especially like series wise. Their focus is always going to be, as far as the money is in the movies, is going to be to make TV content that supplements the movie content, and the movie stuff is the main important thing. So I mean, you definitely could just watch the movies and not watch any of the shows, not just Hawkeye, but any of them really. None of them are essential viewing to understand the main overarching like Marvel story.
They kind of help to give you a little bit more background, I guess, on things.
I do agree with the superhero fatigue thing, though. I do think that's true. I think superheroes have become, especially over the last 10 years, have very much so become dominant in popular culture. And we have seen a lot of movies and shows and cartoons and books that all involve superheroes. And I love superheroes as a genre, so I think it's cool. But also, a lot of the stuff can be very samey and uninspired. And I think with Marvel too, there is a Marvel style for a reason, right? Like a Marvel style film that we can attribute to the MCU movies, and I think they take a lot of those same kind of energy to the shows. And so, like, you know, I think part of the reason why WandaVision was accepted so well is because it took such a stylized approach that it was pretty different up until, you know, the end, and then it got very MCU-y. And also with Loki too, which for the most part, you know, subverted a lot of, you know, what we had seen. Even just the nature of it, him being a, you know, a villain kind of anti-hero is not a perspective we see very often in Marvel stuff. So I think that's why those two kind of stand out, and also why Falcon kind of didn't really do much, because it literally was just the movie formula. It was as a show. It's like the tone was the same. There wasn't anything special to it that made it its own unique thing. So I do think that we are reaching we're getting close to critical mass of superhero fatigue, and we're either going to have to go deeper and allow artists to really explore these stories and do, you know, things that are meaningful and not just checking boxes, or, you know, or it's just going to go even more mainstream and everyone's just going to get tired of it until they stop making them, you know?
Okay. I feel you. Because I guess it's the reason I kind of disagree when people throw up the superhero fatigue, because it's like, people have been saying it for at least that I can remember about 4 or so years, but I'm like, the stuff still keeps getting bought. The Twitter's still going crazy. The toys ain't going down.
You can still see the signs of the fatigue happening without, like, it's not a like a overnight like drop off thing, right? Like it happens, you know, in kind of phases as people get tired of stuff. So I think
okay.
You started to see people talking about it a few years ago when, you know, we got like 4 Marvel movies in a year. And it's like, okay, like, you know, yeah, these are cool and they're like event films, but like I can even say for myself, like every time a comic book movie would come out, I used to go see it at midnight on Thursday. And then I don't even know exactly when, but it reached a certain point where it's like, yeah, I'll go see it when I see it, or I won't. You know, I still haven't seen the Venom movies. I still haven't seen the last X-Men movie. I still didn't see. You know, it took me forever to watch Aquaman. I still haven't seen Aquaman. It took me forever to watch Wonder Woman. It took me forever to watch even the last Spider-Man movie, which I did like. I was not really in a hurry to go see it in the theaters. So I think a lot of that special magic of like, you know, this is something that's kind of new and unique has faded away, and it's very much a mainstream thing, and that's why you're going to see people talking about fatigue.
Okay. All right, no doubt. So, into the episode. I'll give them kudos for starting where they ended. Because this is usually the point where a show would say, we know we ended on a cliffhanger. Now we're going to tell you something in the past and make you wait for it. And I'm like, I hate that. But they didn't do that. They started right back where they were. Like exactly where they were. And not only do I like that, but I like how your boy went from being all kind of evil looking to like, oh, I was just trying to protect the home. Boy, I didn't know who was here. Like, you be lying. I don't know. And he lying so much that I don't know if I trust the mama either. I think I'll start with that. How you feeling about him and the mom? Because at first I was like, you know, the mom, she might not know nothing, but now I'm like, I don't know if I trust the mama.
So that character, Jack, it's based on a character from Marvel that is the swordsman, and they're kind of different variations of them, of a hero or a villain, but he's very often like a rival to Hawkeye, and in some stories he's like the guy who trained Hawkeye. So it's very interesting that they use that character to be the new husband here in this story. Mm-hmm. There's definitely something going on with them. I used to think that he was like the bad guy, but now I think that I think the mom actually might be the main bad guy, and he's just kind of like a misdirection for us to think that he's bad. Yeah, it's very interesting. Especially because we didn't see that much of the mom character in the past 2 episodes. We saw her mostly just in the first one. So I'm not gonna say I forgot about her, but she's not as important, I didn't think. And then in the start of this episode, just the way that they interact with Clint and stuff, very interesting, very, very sus.
Yeah. And also another thing I didn't like is, so Clint's leaving. They talk, all 4 of them talk and everything. Clint's leaving, and then she goes to Clint basically like, hey, look, I know my daughter's into this and everything, but I want you to like keep her out of it. I'm like, ain't your daughter grown? Shouldn't you need to be? Why you ain't talking to your daughter? Like, what you talking to me for? She grown.
That's
How you
normal.
gonna tell me? Don't come in here. I don't even want to talk to your daughter. I ain't trying to have a Black Widow Jr. I'm minding my business. Your daughter came over here.
If your son was hanging out with the old superhero, running around with him, you think she didn't tell her daughter? She told her too, right?
Okay,
You're not gonna stop there,
All right,
you gotta
okay.
tell the
So
old
you
man
tell
too,
both
like,
sides.
all right, dude. Yeah.
Like, look,
I think that was
no superhero stuff.
Yeah, I think that was
Okay.
relatively normal. Like,
Okay.
I think it is normal as a parent to worry about your kids becoming heroes, especially in that world where there are heroes, and a lot of them have
Some
died.
of them have died. Yeah.
Recently. Yeah.
Especially with the whole them living in the middle of the attack on New York, and then also the whole thing with the snap and the return from the snap. Yeah, there's enough out there now to say, hey, it's time to make a statement to maybe her and the guy that she's kind of like following around through this. Now, I guess the chat is talking about the fight, so we might as well go in and get into the fight. I'll say this: Jenna James talks about how this fight shows that there's levels to this. There's definitely levels, because you see Echo come in trying to do her thing, and Black Widow 2 was like, get out of my way. Ain't nobody think about you. I got things to do. And Hawkeye just getting tossed all around. And then Kate, it's like, look, just sit down. So it does show like, all right, Kate's trying to help. But I do like, not only do I think it was pretty well choreographed, but also you do get glaring differences between skill levels. Because Hawkeye's kind of like on the level with Echo. He's like, all right, cool. I'm trying to handle it, one-on-one, great. I'm doing pretty good. With, Black Widow 2 or whatever, 2.0, it looked like he was just trying to survive. It looked like he was just trying to get out the way.
I don't know. I read that as more of like a, he's not at 100%, but
True.
2, like, I think it was also just jarring for him to, out of nowhere start being attacked by a Black Widow, right? Like, it's
yeah.
It
does come out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think that was kind of, I think a lot of it was just like confusion of what was going on, and then having to fight in the middle of that. I think that helped her catch him off guard. I think even as good as Yelena is, and with old as Clint is, I still think he has the upper hand in a fight. I think, but given the element of surprise and all the other factors,
he's already
that
trying to
went
handle. Yeah, he's already trying to handle one issue.
Yeah, exactly. I think like I'm saying, in a ring, 1v1, like every level playing field, I think he wins. But in this situation, I think she chose the right time to strike for sure. I
also makes me wonder how long she's been watching him too, because now it gives me like headcanon of like off camera stuff, because like this was super opportune for her. So who knows how long she's been watching this dude?
Yeah, I mean,
like,
also we don't know what capacity like they're working together in. We don't know if they are actually working together, or if they just are both after Clint, or like, we don't really know what the situation is there. Yeah, the fight, I don't know. Like, I liked a lot of the choreography, but the whole thing was just kind of dark, like lighting wise. And I didn't feel a lot of energy if that makes sense. I also didn't really feel like concerned for either of them really at any point, which kind of always ruins a fight for me.
I'll give you that.
I do think I don't know, like the parallel with her like falling and then playing the music and him cutting the string and all that stuff, like I get what they're going for, but I feel like it was just kind of on the nose. Like it could be a little more subtle. Like, yes, we know he still feels bad about Natasha. Like, I get it, but I know what they're going for. But it was a little hammer-fisted for me. I was a little like, all right, guys, come on.
All right,
but I do think it was a good way of showing that even though, as we've seen, Kate, she is very talented. Like she's got a lot of acrobat skills and she's an excellent shot and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, she does not have the combat experience to hang in that group of people, especially not with Echo and Yelena and Clint, because they have seen, have had completely different lives than what she's lived.
Yes. And
I did go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I did really like this scene. I will say the one thing I did like with this episode is how the chemistry between Clint and Kate is really good. And they did a great job this episode of showing that, and like the whole thing with her showing him the quarter trick. I thought that was really cool. And then, doing that earlier on in the episode, just to then have him later be like, all right, like, no, you're not, you're not my partner. Just get out of here. It carries a little bit more weight because we see that he genuinely does care about her, and that he's, he's pushing her away for her safety, not because he doesn't like her. Right. So it's a kind of an interesting dynamic. So.
Yeah. And then we also got that kind of like where he like genuinely thanked her for, like being there, and then like, telling her about the best shot he never took. So like that kind of thing.
That either. That's so
you
cheesy.
didn't? Oh, you didn't?
No.
I mean, yes, we kind of knew who it was when he said it, but I was like, I think we all know that he needed to talk about his introduction with Black Widow sooner or later.
So this is a controversial take in Marvel fandom, but like I just really don't understand the relation between Clint and Natasha. Like I feel like originally they planned for it to be kind of romantic, and that's how they were playing it, and then they brought Hulk in and they kind of like changed directions, and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, Clint has a wife, like, and so then now they're not it's not a romantic, they're just like really, really close friends with like some deep connection. And like I get it, and they did lay groundwork for them like doing stuff together, and it's like losing a partner, I guess, like, but I don't know, I just like
and the whole Bangladesh thing,
I don't really care. Like I just don't, like, bro, you got a wife and kids, like,
now
why is the most traumatizing thing that has happened to you like Natasha sacrificing herself?
Yes. Now I wanted to talk about that. When it comes to, and I wanted to talk about Clint's wife too for a second, but when it comes to something like that, it does seem weird, because it seems, okay, from the outside looking in, say even from a fan perspective, but say if we knew Clint in real life, I would feel like there's a relationship somewhere in the past that like I missed. Like, because I'm like, so like back in the days, y'all used to like kind of like, maybe y'all wasn't together, but y'all was, y'all was playing, y'all was playing for a while. And look, y'all know what I'm saying. It's a family friendly show. But look, it's like y'all was playing, together. And then y'all maybe figured out, hey, we're best as friends or something. Because his tie, because when you flash forward, I'm surprised his wife is like, you sure I broke up about her, ain't you? Or maybe that's a cultural thing, but I'm gonna let you know. There's a lot of women that I know that be like, look, all right, that's enough tears. All right, that's enough. All right, well, I'm gonna have to start asking you about your past. Yeah, she done been all up in my house, done broke bread with me, done been around my kids. Is this something you need to tell me, Clint?
I also think it kind of takes a lot of agency away from Black Widow as well. Like, yes, she he helped her defect and join Shield, but like for it to be, from his framing, it was his choice because he didn't decide to kill her, he saved her, like, assuming that he could have just killed her, right? Like, which is bold enough in my opinion, but I don't know, like I feel like Natasha, especially too, like she knew what she was doing, sacrificing herself, and I think a lot of what the Black Widow solo movie was showing, like the journey that she's been on and the stuff that she did, and like it's sad that she went the way that she did, but she kind of like she wanted to to do something meaningful, to sacrifice herself, like and it still sucks your friend died, but I don't know, I just feel like Marvel's kind of milking it. I don't know. We'll see how this series lands.
And like, I guess they have.
I want there to
bring
be
Yelena in. I guess
I want there to be some type of evolution for the character, and I just don't want him to be perpetually sad about Natasha for the rest of his Marvel appearances. So hopefully, with Yelena now in the show, hopefully we'll see her again. I'm assuming we will. And maybe they'll have some type of conversation that helps give him closure and gives her closure or something like that. So I think that'd be good.
Now, sticking on the situation with Clint's wife, we get back and forth with them. That's like, oh, hold up, because I was like, and I'll tell you my idea, and then I'll read somebody's statement in the chat real quick. E. Burnson says Clint's wife might have been his handler? ? In my mind, this is what it was. So Clint was like the cool, new, edgy agent in the field, right? And she was like the ill science tech, like data analyst, right? And he'd be walking through the office, and she was like, ooh, and he was like, girl, you look good. And then they hooked up, and she was like, you know what? I'm gonna lead a life, but I'm gonna still keep my skills just in case. So then he could be like, yo, girl, I need you to run these plates. Okay, maybe.
I mean, I think it's definitely. I think it's definitely possible that she was like a SHIELD agent or something, and they met that way, or maybe it's some other agency. But
you don't care about that either? Come on, Nick.
I don't really. Again, I think like her purpose as a character is not to be like, oh yeah, this is my super secret badass wife. It's supposed to be, this is Clint's humanity. He's got a regular nice wife. They live on a house and a farm with a dog, and he's got 3 kids, and he just wants to get back to his simple life. And like his wife being a former like also super spy badass doesn't really serve that for any reason. Like
so you don't care about any kind of possible Mr. and Mrs. Smith kind of I'm
like that's not gonna happen. Like, and look, I love Linda Cardinelli, don't get me wrong, like she is one of my favorites, like of all time, and I'm glad that she got more screen time than I I'd expected we would just see her in the beginning and then see her in the end like we have in the movies. So I think that they just have a good relationship, and that they talk about what he's doing and where he's going and stuff, and she is involved, not she's not like on comms like with the drone like telling him where to go, but she's talking him through things like, hey, what's going on, where are you going, stuff like that, like you would a partner that you have a good communication relationship with.
All right, cool. When I saw it, I was like, you know what? I wouldn't be against, but I mean, all right, I'm gonna let that go, because I see this ain't the right.
Not everybody needs to be a superhero. Like the whole point of Clint's character is a regular guy, doing more than regular things. Even though surrounded by people that are way outclassed by him, but he still is important and useful, and like that's the important part of the Hawkeye like story, like him being a like regular guy sacrificing himself and, his time with his family and stuff like that in order to assist the greater good, right? Like that's the story at the end of the day.
All right, cool. All right, so I'll ease up on the whole, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get the kids to school, but then you gotta, also do a little mission. You know what I'm saying? Because he is trying to get out the game. He's like, look.
That's the other thing too, is like if he had his way, he would just be at home. Like, he's
true.
not trying to do any Mr. and Mrs. Smith shit. He's trying to retire, bro.
He is.
He's like, I got a house, I got a dog.
I just want to chill. I got my family.
I'm just trying to sit at home, drink a beer,
Nothing else. I don't want to get beat up no more.
Drive my truck.
Yep.
Go hunting.
Yeah, that's it. Maybe go fishing, chill. Nothing else. That's all. Just a regular
especially with everything that he had been through, with the snap and literally losing his family and getting them back now. Like, all he cares about is getting back to his family. Like, and it's one of those things of like, yes, he wants to help people and save the world and stuff, but like, ultimately, like he wants to help Kate, and he's a good guy, so he wants to make sure that whatever he did doesn't cause her harm or damage her or put in danger, right? But also he has to solve this, Ronin situation because it puts his family at risk, right? And his ability to just go home and retire, he has to close all of these, these loose ends, and this is one of them that he has to handle. So
Good
it's
point.
like, I don't want to do this, but I can't rest until this is done.
Yeah, because if it comes out like, hey, well, he's Ronin, and it's like widely known, or I guess widely known in the criminal world, then people are always gonna be searching for him, and he won't be able to go see like Steve Rogers dance show or something.
People know who he is too. Like, it's not like he, wears a mask and has like a, like secret identity. People know who he is. They've seen him. They've known him for years now. He's a identified agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. So like, he lives off the reservation, but it wouldn't be that hard for people to like find him, like especially big bad guys.
Yeah, they have resources. I will say we never know where those resources come from. Similar to Titans this season, where I was like, yo, where does someone get out of jail and have the technology to take over like all the cell phone screens? Like, is this someone I could call? Like, is there like a bad guys RS where I could be like, hey, I want to be on everybody's screen so I can scare the city. And they're like, oh,
wasn't he using Bruce Wayne stuff?
Was he at the time? Maybe, but still, Batman. Look, dude, I know you're Batman, but still, where you get it?
Don't get me started on Batman.
Where you get it? I mean, we
don't have enough time for that.
Batman, I got love for you, but where you get it? like not only Sprint, but also Verizon and T-Mobile, and like you got all the signals. Oh, all right, okay, all right.
You're assuming that Gotham has all of these carriers and not just one.
Ooh.
You know
what?
Where everyone's on Wayne Mobile.
Just have one. You know what I'm saying? Gotham is all on Boost Mobile.
Yeah.
Anyway,
got that bat chirp.
Yep. Only one service. There's only one service available.
Geeky Andre has a good question.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think we'll see him in some form of classic costume before this is over? Yes. I think in some regard.
Yeah, I think they'll do it to throw. Throw a nod to the old school. I don't know how they'll incorporate it.
Well,
that's a pretty interesting suit.
The LARPers are making costumes for them, right? So the question is, what gets Clint to actually put the costume on? Like, what?
Yeah, maybe
you can make it for him, but making him wear it is going to be a very different thing.
Yeah, maybe at the end of the show, as like a nod to the LARPers, which I wanted to touch on next. He's like, all right, fine, I'll wear it for you guys real quick. Like, but speaking of the LARPers, I asked you to do one thing. I come back, why are all these people here? All these people here. Look, I'm a simple man. I want to be by myself. But at the same time, you know, they said they about to make suits, so I'm like, hey, it's cool. You know, I just don't want all these people like, yo, you know, this is secret, Kate. This is secret. All right, we are on the run from bad guys. I know they're the tracksuit mafia, and they're not the most sophisticated of bad guys, but still, like, the more people here, the more people that could be in danger. Like, I know you're new to this, but I mean, you should be old enough to know, like, you got to keep things quiet. And then shouts the girl that wasn't trying to give her bag up. I'm like, girl, get that bag up. Ain't nobody thinking about that monogram bag.
It was a gift. That was pretty funny.
She was holding that bag hard. I'm like, I don't want to think about that bag. I'm like, you'll get it back. Like, but I assume maybe he'll wear it for the LARPers, kind of like, hey, you know, thanks for hooking me up. Fine, I'll wear this real quick to play one last game with you before the credits roll. Maybe.
They have something they started with the Netflix Marvel shows was having the characters, at least like at one point in time in the show, wearing like comic accurate costumes, even if it's just like for a few moments. And they have kept that going with all the shows and stuff that we have seen, with a couple exceptions, but for the most part, they have. If the final costume is not just very directly inspired from the comic it's taken from, they have him wear it for like a few seconds and then be like, no, this doesn't work. Like I can remember Luke Cage when he wore the shirt like for a minute, right? Like, is that kind of a thing where I think we'll see him put it on for whatever reason they come up with, and he'll wear it and shoot some arrows, and then he'll be like, I'm never wearing that ever again, or something. Or he'll give it to Kate or something like that.
Word. Yeah, that suit thing, I'm pretty sure it's coming. I just don't know how they're going to do it, but I'm sure it's on the way. And Armand says she won't see that bag again. Whenever there's a show where somebody's like, yo, just go in and give it to me, it'll be fine. There's nothing you got to worry about. It's going to be okay. I feel like the second you say that, oh, they about to tear that bag up.
Yeah, one of those arrows is going to go off or something.
Yeah, it's like that bag is going to be...
I'm going to bring it back. It's going to be just like the handles. Like with just like tattered remains of the bag.
Yeah, like singed and everything. It's like, you know, the monogram is still on this, though. The monogram is still there. It's right here. So, you know, thank you for your service. I mean, look, she's a cop. She knows. Like, yo, things get real. You know what I'm saying? It's like on Bad Boys. You know, things get real. You're chilling. Next thing you know, you're on a highway and there's cars flying. I mean, things happen. So, I mean, look, just get another bag. But all in all, I do dig this episode. I think this one was slower paced, but I think that's because these last two, they're probably about to ratchet it up.
Yeah, I was just hoping that they would have a little more build up in this one, so that the next one would start off with a bunch of hype, because now the next one is going to have to build, right? Because we have to talk about what happened in the last episode. And then, so at the end of the next episode is when they're going to build all this tension and hype. And then, which means the last episode is going to be jam-packed. So hopefully maybe it's a longer one and maybe it's able to pull it all out. But I just feel like I am worried because a lot of these shows have started good and then just don't stick the landing. So
it seems like a lot of these shows, and not only on Marvel, because this happened when we were talking about Lovecraft Country. It seems like they were like, oh snap, hold up, this is the last episode?
Yeah.
Oh, this is the last one? Yeah, this is the last one. So we don't got no more time. No,
we have one more.
This is it. This is it. This is all the time you got. Oh, okay. All right, well, okay, so everything's gonna happen in like the last 20 minutes. And it's like, even though I dig Lovecraft Country, I really do. It's just that similar to kind of like Falcon and Winter Soldier, where I'm like, I feel like we needed either a double episode for the finale, or we needed or maybe an extra 30 minutes. Just I feel like they were. I feel like everybody was writing and having a good time, and really exploring the characters. And they're like, there's only 30 minutes left in this show.
Yeah.
Oh, there's only 30 minutes left in the show.
It definitely felt like they were kind of like spread out. Like they started off really tight, and then as they got to the middle of the season, they're like, "Oh, we have time to do this and explore that." And then then they looked up and they're like, "Oh no, we don't have time. Time to wrap it all up."
Man, E. Burnson says a very special episode of Blossom. Man. So Armand says, I may have missed it, but what are y'all thoughts on Laura, Clint's wife, being Mockingbird? Well, see, I didn't take that. I didn't. That completely missed me. But I did throw out my whole idea of how they met and got together. It was a great story. Anyone in Hollywood can hire me. Feel free to contact me. My writing skills are impeccable. Y'all gonna love the stuff that I put together. All right, especially if it's shows that I normally watch. I mean, I got it. I'm on point with mine. But as far as her, I'm not mad at it. I'm not against it. But I know, Nate feels a little bit differently. But I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad. You got to lean on your wife sometimes and be like, honey, I need your help. And she's like, you know what? She takes out the special computer, not the family laptop that everybody's on. She takes out the special one that's like in the lead case or something where she do all her, schematics and stuff. And then she like, yeah, Jack is mad dirty. He got shell companies. Here you go. And then he's like, all right, cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I
love seeing Nate's face because he's like, I hate this.
I don't hate it. I think it would be cool to see Mockingbird, but I would much rather, Mockingbird be a different character that is like,
okay,
someone that Clint dated or was married to before Laura now, and I just don't. Again, and this is just my interpretation, so I could be wrong, but from the moment we first saw Clint, his whole thing was about being an ordinary man in a group of extraordinary people, and his wife, again, being also a superhero. Like, what purpose does that serve for us to find out that she is Mockingbird when we know that Clint wants to retire? This is Clint's farewell series. This is his final tour. That's the whole point of the show, is him to kind of turn the mantle over to and she was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too. I played by a different person, so, and I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be canon, but all that
that's going back and forth about how canon that is.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too, is like, I don't really like how S.H.I.E.L.D. has been represented in the MCU. It's basically just like the CIA, but for superheroes. There's not as much nuance that is presented as much in like the comics. And, part of that is just, you have a limited runtime. And I think the other part of it is I guess, trying to modernize it or something like that. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't a canon. Okay, so Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not canon.
Cool. All right, cool. Because I remember at first they was trying to make it hardcore canon.
It was, it was literally like what happened in between the Avengers movies. With Coulson,
they were trying hard to make that thing canon at first, but I guess they were like, look, let's not do it. Like, let's not go through all that.
Yeah, but, I mean, so I think it's one of those things that I think could be a cool Easter egg if like there's like a small hint or something that hints to it. But in terms of it like being something important to the story, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're moving away from that. I think we're going to see Clint in more of a observatory, kind of like a leadership mentorship role, if we see him at all. And I just don't see the Mockingbird thing happening. Now, if they want to do like a flashback series or something, right? And it's like Hawkeye in the 80s in S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, wow.
right? And then like he meets this partner Mockingbird, and they kind of have like a fling or something. Like I'd watch that. I'd be super down for that. But yeah, I just wanted to serve the story.
So, I guess you're trying to get Clint beat up because if you're looking at the 80s, no. That could still be before his wife. Because I'm trying to look at the ages of his kids. So, all right, cool. So the 80s.
It'd be like
works.
80s
works.
Because in the comics, they meet.
Beat up?
They work together at Shield. They fall in love. They get married, and then they get a divorce, which is like a whole big thing. And they're not married anymore. And then she dies, and then she comes back, and all that conflict stuff. But yeah,
then she dies, then she comes back. You know what I mean? Hey,
I want is to see Wilson Fisk. Is what I want. They keep teasing him, and I thought we'd see him in this episode, and now I'm fearing that he's literally going to be like in the post credits of the finale. Like picking Echo up to go, like, start their show or whatever is going to happen. But
yeah, because we only have 2 episodes left.
Yeah.
So it's like, where you at? All right. Y'all said he was going to be here. But where you at? Like, just come on now. Like, we ain't got all time, all day. And since you're bringing in Wilson Fisk, can we get Danny Rand in here?
No.
Woo! I had to throw that.
That guy's never gonna do anything martial arts related ever again.
He doesn't even want to do like a boxing movie. Like there's nothing. There's nothing with any kind of physical fighting. Nothing. Wow. It was bad and then kind of got aight, but yeah. So anyway,
the second season was okay.
Yeah, the second season.
The action was a lot better.
Yeah,
I just don't care about the character. They just approached it like
the show was like
totally wrong.
The show was about the wrong person. I'm watching the show. I'm like, yo, man, I don't know if you know, but she's really, really cool. Like, why don't we go over there and like, because. And then in season 2, I'm like, oh snap, yeah, let's go over here.
Also, too, like I've always thought Iron Fist was cool, but I've never really cared much about him solo. Like I like Iron Fist as part of, the what is
the team with Luke Cage.
It's not Power Pack. What do they call it? You know what I'm talking about.
Heroes for Hire or whatever?
Yes, exactly. Like I like that him in that street level because like he's like street level plus, right? Like kind of like Luke or like Daredevil, where like
okay,
they're not just regular humans, but they're also not like cosmic. Like Danny Rand would just get smacked around by Thanos. Like just
yeah. There's nothing he could do.
I don't care about no damn dragons.
Yeah, because I mean, if he went up against, I mean, look at how Thor had a hard time with him, and so yeah, Danny Rand, you would have to do some real like writing gymnastics to try.
And also just like the timing. Honestly, the story just doesn't hit like it used to in the day and age that we're at. Like a rich billionaire white kid on his private jet gets stranded on an island and learns kung fu from a mysterious group of Asian people, and then comes back to America to reclaim his $1 billion company and also do kung fu. So
yeah, but I remember there was someone on Twitter was getting shared around was like, hey, y'all can kind of rewrite it like this, and it basically followed Asian American kid who was kind of like disassociated from his, like, I think grandparents, kind of like grandparents, like words and teaching and everything. And they kind of like always threw it to the wind, like, yeah, whatever, grandma, like, all right, and then on a visit back, then everything kind of hops off. But, it kind of like changed it up a little bit. The kid's also not super duper rich no more. And then it kind of flipped it up a little bit, gave it a little twist. And also kind of like took out the white exceptionalism part of it as well, and it kind of helped out a little something. But yeah, the Danny Rand, he just seemed whiny. He did.
He said,
He
wasn't that
white.
Green Arrow? Yeah, exactly. Exactly my point. Yeah. This is the thing. And E. Baronson in the chat is saying he's the living weapon. Yes, I get that. I'm not talking about Danny in the comics. I'm talking about the comics Danny that was adapted to the movie or to the show, right? Because when they do these adaptations, they're kind of just finding, like, it's like looking at a picture kind of out of focus, right? Like you're just seeing like the big main points. You lose all of the details and the nuance that you get in comics from not only it lasting for an exceptional amount of time, but you have different writers, you have crossovers, you have events and stuff, like, and all of this creates these much more detailed and depth-filled characters. And then when you see, a show or movie adaptation, they're just copying what's on the surface and then just printing that out, and so like you miss a lot of the details. I do think a Iron Fist series done really well could be really cool. Their main thing is they need people who know how to actually do kung fu and fight scenes and stuff. Like it was just over edited and the action was not super good.
Yeah, and in a world where we have like great action scenes, it's kind of hard to give that a pass. Also, once anything gets adapted, it becomes its own thing. So it's like, it's cool to talk about the comics because even I do, but then also just with the knowledge that this is now its own thing. This movie it's kind of got its own life, sort of. Because then we would never read a book and be like, hey, in the movie they did this, and so it's like they're both about the same thing, but they're their own vehicles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different medium. So the avenues of storytelling are different. And I mean, also for comic book fans, like, it really shouldn't be that vague of a concept to understand, because we already have the multiverse. We already have
true.
writers that write books about series that we understand are not part of the central canon, right? Like, this is the same way,
or like the Ultimates kind of stuff, and then the 616 type of stuff, and
exactly, yeah. Like this is the same way of like, this is, it's still in the Marvel universe, it's just in a different one, right? So things can change and be different, and the comics is just the influence and stuff that they're taking from. They're not tied to any of that stuff.
Yeah, which is good. I'm hoping that we see a nice entry from the homie Wilson, and hopefully, I know it's Disney, but hopefully we get to see at least a little bit of the edge. I know we can't do everything. I get it. I understand we on Disney+.
That's my biggest concern with these new shows, is that what comes with the street level stuff is like a certain level of grittiness, right? Because that's where you get to more of the real crime. Like, we're not talking about aliens and shit. We're talking about like criminals and mafiosos and stuff like that,
seedy
right?
underbelly of the city.
Yeah, like all this stuff. Like, so I'm hoping. Did you watch Hit Monkey on Hulu?
I haven't finished it, but
I haven't finished it either. I like it a lot too. So I'm hoping that they will be more open to putting some stuff like that on Hulu, and not just animated, but like some live action stuff. And I don't know. I know that they very much like having the Marvel stuff on Disney Plus, because for a lot of people that's the only reason why they have it. But I also know that they're very adamant about not putting like R-rated or mature things on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And I just like, that's what made, Daredevil so good, was that it was like raw and it was bloody, and like it doesn't I'm not saying we need like sex and curse words in every other line, but when you get to the fight scene, like, you need to be able to spill some blood. Like, I don't want to I don't want to see an Echo show where she goes around kicking whoever's ass and she never knocks anybody's teeth out or anything like that. Like, what is that? Like, come on, that's super lame.
Disney Plus does come it's come to an area where they're probably going to have to do something where they really heighten up their parental restrictions or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
And then just be like, okay, hey, we're going to have like a 10 to 20 second long screen thing, like, hey, it's not for kids, all right? turn back now. All right, just turn it off. All right, turn it off, because if you pass it, then you're on your own. And then then they can have Kingpin trying to take Punisher down in jail. Because that scene was boss. And the fact that Punisher didn't die, the look on Wilson's face was like, man.
Yeah.
I really thought this was going to work.
It was, yeah. I mean, it was very well done. And the bar is also too. Kevin Feige said that they want, they're gonna have Charlie Cox be Daredevil again. So
Ooh.
I don't know if they're gonna try to fold some of that stuff into canon and just kind of roll with what kind of happened already, especially since we're seeing the Fisk and the Daredevil from that universe. But they may kind of redo it also. But I just again, if you're doing that because it was so good and people liked it, remember what was good about it.
There's a reason. Yeah,
pull the punches. It was raw.
Yeah.
I vividly remember watching the first season of that show when he just gets his ass whooped, and then in the next episode he's tore up, and I was like, damn, you never see that where people get into a fight and then they deal with the consequences of the fight, and he was actually hurt, and that made the fight scenes mean a lot more. They had more weight to them because they meant something.
Yeah, and even stuff with what was her name, Paige, the stuff with her brother, because at first when she calls home and she's like, Dad, I want to come home, and he was like, girl, please, Clint, and you man, that's foul. But then when they go show her back, it's like, ooh, Paige, nah, boo, yo, you was dirty. I don't know if I'd let you back either. I'd be like, no, that time in our relationship is done. You know what I'm saying? Now, am I, calling you being mean and throwing dirt on your name? No, I'm gonna let you live, but can't come here no more. That's it.
Yeah.
That relationship is over. Man, wow. But that stuff be happening. People have a whole nother life, move somewhere, pretend whatever never happened. They'll be like, hey, whatever happened in, whatever city, they don't even count no more.
Yeah, so, it doesn't count over here. Starting all over.
E. Burns said her name is Karen. You know what? We're going to end on that. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, her name is Karen. So, with that said, right over here, Nate, where can they find you?
Guys, you can find me everywhere online at Dog Like Nate. It's Dog with 2 G's. You can come yell at me about my bad Marvel takes.
No, look, Nate, I like having Nate around because I'll be all excited and they'll be like, bring it back in. Reel it in. Just been
disappointed too many times.
Well, I mean, hey, look, we got a new season of Invincible coming, so and we both like Hit Monkey. If I ever finish that show,
Hit Monkey is very good. Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna watch a couple of episodes tonight. I'll watch some more episodes tonight. But
you're gonna put it on and fall asleep.
I'm like, oh man, I'm so tired. Oh man, what happened? So NERD, SOUL, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those places. Hit the thumbs up because that's what they need you to do. You know what I'm saying? Look, I'm not trying to come. I'm just saying, look, hit thumbs up. Share this to your people. You know what I'm saying? Your ex-girlfriend going to send it to her. She ain't got nothing else to do. You know what I'm saying? Your ex-boyfriend, he ain't doing nothing but laying around watching TV. He ain't going to college. So just go on and send him some NERDSoul. You know what I'm saying? You ain't going to college. You know what I'm saying? Just watch some NERDSoul. You ain't got nothing else to do. I mean, shoot. So, podcast for listening, Spotify for music, all kinds of cool stuff. Don't sleep everywhere. All right. Then also, Nate, are you streaming any Halo?
Not right now, but I might be in the future.
All right, cool. Well, I'll get, because I know sometimes you might delve into some shooters and all that. So
yeah, I've been playing a lot of Halo. I just finished the campaign, but yeah, we can definitely rap about that.
Yeah, I haven't even started the campaign. I played some multiplayer and got beat all up. So yeah, I had 5 kills and I got killed. 18 times. So we're gonna end right there. We're gonna leave y'all with PL Parker Lewis, Architron. From us to you, thank you for chilling. Peace.
I'm the man, yes sir, that killed a bear barehanded so the people won't forget it. Getting money for I was legal to drink. I care what a broke nigga think.
Just like the Parker Lewis.
Look, everything I do so cold. I can do this, both eyes closed. Too short, I stay on my toes. About that guap boy, anything goes. Help the bear if we outside. Help the bear if we outside. Still tipping, baby, nothing changed. I'm still grinding over here, yeah. Still sliding through my own lane. Shorty, nothing funny over here. Dallas rain everywhere around me. Dream to get money. Made it through the storm, living sunny. Dreams came true, now we eating. I got more dreams to chase, gotta reach them. Trying to put a team together like the Hunger Games. Everybody grinding cause we all came from Hunger.